All right. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Teachers Lounge Talk Show. I am your host, Mrs. Piper, and I am just overjoyed and I am thankful to be with you for me this evening, for you this morning, just tickled brown, just to be here, just to talk about educational trends and how world events trickle down and also affect education. Before we move further, of course, I want to thank WHPR TV. I want to thank Mr. Watkins Jr., the mothership known as WHPR TV. I'm closing my eyes right now because I remember the times when we were at the studio. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Then now we're in our homes because of COVID. Who would have thought that, right? But we're resilient. Change happened and we changed. Okay? So we want to thank the mothership, WHPR TV. We also want to thank Minister Malik Shabazz and the Get Up, Stand Up show. Thank you so much, Minister Malik. You have shared your platform with the Teachers Lounge for 5 years. 5 years. We have been at this thing. We have been at this. We have been passionate about sharing educational trends with the public. I'm thankful and I'm grateful to you, Minister Malik. Thank you so much. We also want to thank our sponsor, David Mohammed and Available Geeks, for all of your computer needs. Maybe you need a website done. Maybe you need t-shirts done. Maybe you need your computer fixed. You want to contact availablegeeks.com. That's availablegeeks.com. You will not ever be dissatisfied. So I am happy to introduce our host, our co-host today. Please, Coach, please introduce yourselves.
Hello, everyone. My name is Candace Williams, your favorite reading specialist, founder of Irby Education and UPSM's reading specialist.
Good evening, everybody. William Weir, former DPSCD teacher of 23 years, former executive board member on the DFT, and currently working on 3 or 4 different committees for 482 Forward, a education social justice group.
All right, good evening, everybody. My name is Donovan Gardner. I'm a DPSCD special education teacher and DFT 231 member.
We can't see you, Donnie.
Yeah, what's your picture,
No,
Donnie?
I am having, you know what? I just bought a new laptop and headphone set, and I am trying to work this out because I want my Bluetooth to reach in, with my headphone set. So I don't want to see you guys when I'm getting frustrated trying to figure out what's going on, but we can go on with the topics.
Yes. Well, I'm grateful to have you here, Donnie. Oh, by the way, I'm Mrs. Piper, DPSCD Schools, where I teach 6th through 8th grade ELA, that's English Language Arts. Before we move any further, we're going to pause for a moment of silence for every person and their surviving family and friends that lost their lives to COVID, and every person and their surviving family and friends who've lost their lives to police brutality. Moment of silence, please. Okay, thank you so much for your respect. I closed my eyes for a little longer today because we are a nation in turmoil. I can honestly say I have never been so embarrassed to be an American. What went on Capitol Hill, I couldn't fathom it. And I can tell you that as a teacher, I stayed away from it. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to close my video for a second. I'm going to share my screen.
Can you still hear me, guys?
Yes, there you are, Donnie. Yes, you're there. Okay, I'm sharing my screen right now, and I'm sure we've seen this picture. Capitol on lockdown as Capitol breached by protesters. Unbelievable. I could not believe when I went to bed last night that this was my country. I could not believe when I woke up this morning that I heard people have died. I believe 4 people lost their lives. And over what? I am appalled. And I'm bringing this up, even though this is political. My kids see this, my students see this, and I can tell you, as an educator, as a teacher, I did not know how to approach it today. So I left it alone. I did nothing. I continued on with a lesson today. And I'm hoping that my colleagues could perhaps give me some advice on what I can say. How do I conduct my class tomorrow? Because the kids have questions. And I can tell you, I just duck them. I duck them because I don't know what to say. I don't want to say, I'm an American and I'm disappointed in my country. I don't want to say that. You know, I don't want to fuel them and have them have that fuel blow up in an unconstructive way. So, Will, I'm going to turn this to you because you are the social studies teacher. So, what advice can you give to a teacher like me who is frustrated, who is embarrassed to be an American, and who has to face her kids, who has to face her students when our country is in turmoil? What advice can you give me and anyone else who's listening?
Well, the first thing I'd say is you'd have to be very careful not to put your own feelings into this. Because right now, if it was just all adults talking, I would say, well, what do you think you were going to get with this train wreck of a president? He is no different than what he was when he was running for office. Now, that out of the way, you ask the kids, what do they see? And depending on the age, that's how you approach the subject. If for, let's just say, if 4th grade teachers, Mr. Weir, what's going on here? Well, these were some people who were unhappy about the election, and they chose to express themselves this way. And then you start asking them questions. What do you see here? And they would tell you, and you would go off of those questions. And then you would go to maybe the Constitution and say, well, there's other ways that you can redress your grievances about things that you're unhappy with the government. I would just warn them to do your own research, do your own reading. Don't listen to what you hear on the news. Because just for a quick example, when President Trump was first elected, kids were, he's terrible, he's terrible. I said, well, why do you say that? Because my mama said so. Well, what do you think? Well, you can't go by, I know you respect your parents. Every time you have an opinion about something, make sure you have a fact behind it. That's what I would start with the younger kids. When it got to the older kids, I would kind of ask them the same thing. Well, what do you see? What do you see going on here? And when you're teaching about world revolutions and stuff, I think you teach upper grades, Leslie. Is this the way democracy works? And they can compare this to actually things that happen in South America. The way our Constitution and democracy is set up, is this the way this should have been addressed? And then let them tell you. Let them do the research. Let them tell you. And I know sometimes I would almost bite through my lip with this, but I was very careful not to tell them my personal feelings. Mm-hmm. Let them come to the conclusion that this is not the way to redress your grievances. Let them come up with the conclusions about did Trump or did the GOP for the last 4 years, and I'm talking about upper grades, how are they complicit in this? Don't tell them that Trump and the GOP was wrong. Let them find out. So that's about the best advice, not only for students, That's the best advice I would give you about for your own children,
Right.
how to
And
handle this.
and then just also tying in too, how this is also could be a lesson for ELA as well, right? Where this is like listening, debating, discussion,
Exactly.
comprehension, and you can even create a writing prompt based on this, because I think the
Exactly.
main thing is that we can't pretend that our children aren't human, right? And that they don't have their own thoughts and feelings about things. But I love what you said, William, when you said that I'm not trying to impose my own feelings and my own views on them. Rather, I'm saying here's a piece of evidence, and you tell me, what do you think about it?
One of my best lessons, real quick, Christmas time. You know how we always around Christmas time, oh God, we got 1 day left, like 2 days left, and somebody comes in and says, you're supposed to be teaching your kids up until the last minute. So I had them do one of my favorite lessons, analyze Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Hey, what core democratic values of Rudolph's do you think were violated when they wouldn't let him play his reindeer game, when Santa Claus ignored the harassment that he was getting? And then how did that change once Rudolph was useful? You know, and it turned into one of my best lessons. It was a lot of fun.
That was fun. What do you think, Donnie? You want to chime in? What's your opinion? What would you say to your students about this chaos that has erupted in our country?
Well, you know, I talked to my father today, who is a shadow friend of Weir, whether he knows it or not. They actually both graduated from Persian, and they're in that same age demographic. And they're what we would call the baby boomers. I guess you're what we would call a baby boomer, Miss Piper. Yeah, you guys don't want to hear it, but you're gonna get it today.
I'm Generation X, thank you.
Oh, no.
I'm Generation X, thank you.
Your Generation X was
Yeah,
me and Candace.
yeah.
I know me and Candace are Generation X, but I know Weir and my father are baby boomers.
That's
sure.
right. And you wouldn't be here without us.
That's right.
Okay.
Hello.
So this
Tell
is
that
what
young
I
boy.
think. This is what I think. When I saw what was going on at the Capitol yesterday, it gave me anxiety as a Black male. I really felt anxious. I felt a lot of type of feelings, and you know, I don't really get how I felt when I was alone by myself. But Black people should have stormed the Capitol a long time ago. And when I hear Black people on social media saying, like, if they were Black, this would have happened, that would have happened, you must don't know your history. The Black Panthers stormed the Capitol in 1967, armed and everything, and they stood up for something. And I understand the rhetoric was going on now. You know, you talk to people say, well, we're Black, we can't get away with what white people get away with.
So, Don, let me just, I just want to clarify. Okay. So when you say storm, we're speaking to come in peace, but not to come in such a way that we saw played out yesterday.
Well, they're fighting for their liberty, and we should have been fighting for our humanity.
Who's fighting for their liberty?
Listen, they'll get it. I'm not with them. I'm playing chess. How I feel is different. They hop in their trailer parks and they go do what they have to do and take care of their business. They're fighting for their liberty, what they feel is their liberal rights. We won't even invade the Capitol for our own humanity. We'll go spray up a block or shoot somebody that has nothing to do with it. Our Black people as a whole in America needs to understand that what we need to do now is organize and love each other, even though we don't have a nationality. And that has a lot to do with what hurts us. So when you show the Capitol and you show these white, you think I want to give them some props for fighting for their liberty? Heck you no. Heck you no. It's time for us to fight for our humanity. And when I hear Black people ignorantly say on social media that if they were Black, they would have got shot, that sound like whiners and criners, and
No,
you don't know your history, because
like
the
really
Black
off base
Panthers
on that one.
then stormed the Capitol. We should have stormed the Capitol for Flint water crisis. We should have stormed the Black Capitol for Tamir Rice. We should have stormed the Capitol for Breonna Taylor. We haven't been stormed nothing or fought for nothing.
Well,
and when people want to get mad at me for having a simple conversation about let's take our vote elsewhere or don't vote at all to make what our local politicians have done for us for the last 50 years, let's make them make a move. We can't boycott because, hell, Candace, you shop at Saks Fifth Avenue. Weird, you shop at Saks Fifth Avenue. Leslie, you shop at Saks Fifth Avenue. Or what the president, it doesn't matter what president is in office for either of us, but for our people, it does make a difference. And if we're going to change something, then we got to vote differently, because they're not going to boycott. Like if I tried to rally all of my homeboys to go storm the Capitol for Flint water crisis, you know how many of them would come with me? 0. If I said, show up, Alabama is playing Ohio Monday night, Donnie's house, he barbecuing, you know how many people would show up? Everybody. So you have to understand the state of mind that I was in at that particular time. I was trying to use my vote as a chess piece. You know, I'm not thinking about storming the Capitol. Listen, we've stormed the Capitol before and they shot down our leaders. They infiltrated our society. They gave them heroin and cocaine and everything else and crack, and they ruined the Black leaders and used puppets to infiltrate the Black Panthers. But I get pissed off when I hear people say, oh, if they were Black, they would have been shot down. We've been infiltrated the Capitol and should have infiltrated it a long time ago.
Well,
so don't get mad at these
white
people. Hold on. This is my last point. This is my last point. Last point. 3 words. Don't get mad at these white people for fighting for their liberty when y'all won't get out there and fight for your humanity. You want to be scared about what's coming? We've been scared of each other. We've been hurting each other. Now they fighting for their liberty. Y'all get out there and fight for y'all humanity.
Well, so Donnie, and what I may consider a slight rant, what I will say is that that's also saying that all of the hard work that our brothers and sisters have been putting in during Black Lives Matter is all in vain, that they weren't showing their way of standing up for themselves. I think that that's like an unfair I guess.
Glad you said that. Keep going, sister. I'm glad you said that.
Yes,
I'm glad you said that.
Let her finish.
No. Absolutely. Keep going.
Okay, so I was just saying that I feel like that's an unfair conclusion to come to, as well as thinking about how during the civil rights movement, like we have come in many ways, in many directions, through many forms, with trying to continue to say, hey, our voices should be heard, amplify Black voices. We're seeking justice. So I don't think that that's fair to throw that out there, as well as thinking about the whole entire legacy that the Obamas had and that they led for our people and what they brought as well.
And also, if I may, Donnie, I hear what you said, and a lot of it I agree with. I get a little tired of people who complain and then they don't vote. I get a little tired of people who complain and then they hide when it's time to show up for the school board meeting. Okay, I understand what you're saying. You're not wrong. My issue is you said something about how we hurt each other. All right, now let me tell you this. We are all the same persuasion. We are all about the same hue at that. I've never hurt my brother or sister. I've never. Anytime I fought, it was to defend myself. Okay, so I believe that unity starts with yourself. You know, Michael Jackson, take a look at yourself and make that change. You know, I'm staring at the woman in the mirror. So with me, my unity, I believe, is before me. Here we are, where all of us came together. We just happen to be Black, right? We've been on a show for 5 years. Okay, we're on a Black station. Okay, I see it, and I hope that more people see it. Okay, it's not perfect, but it's a start. It's a beginning. Okay, and it's legacy. Believe it or not, y'all, we're laying down legacy here, and I can't let anyone disrupt that because they get upset because someone stormed the Capitol and they didn't get shot in the head like they would have if they would have.
Well, 4 people were killed or shot. No, 1 person was killed. 3 people were shot.
No, 1 person was shot and 3 people died from medical conditions, heart attacks. 1 person was shot.
1 person was shot and 3 people died. Okay.
Okay.
But regardless, it's horrific. It's horrific. And it shouldn't have happened. And if I could comment on something that you said, Will, I really like, Mr. Weir, how you were trying to encourage and give me advice on what to say to the kids, right? But I want to throw this at you. Last year, when Mr. Floyd was murdered, and so we're going back to May, all right? Maybe the beginning of June. Because remember, this happened over the Memorial Day weekend. So we come back to school that Tuesday, all right? The kids are up in arms, and we're talking about it. At the time, I did have some white students, all right? Very bright white students, okay? And unfortunately, they were left out of the conversation because what could they do? I mean, you know, you had my kids coming up there talking about the white man and how prejudice and racism and white people, you know, and I did my best to quell it. I did my best to focus it. No, it's not all white people. I did my best to try to, you know, because in my mind, I'm okay, we have white kids here. I'm not trying to start a coup. I just want people to express themselves, you know? So it was difficult. And I felt for those white students of mine who felt like they couldn't take part in the conversation. So even though I did my best to not involve myself, and I'm going back to George Floyd now, even now, I didn't have the conversation because I'm so embarrassed. But when you know the conversation can lead you to downplaying another race and reckless things being said about another race, that's when you got to draw the line. And I don't, it's difficult. And I just remember being in that conundrum when Mr. Floyd died. And I wanted the kids to express how they feel, but they were white kids and who felt that they couldn't participate. And I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that. So what do you do for that? How do you involve students that are not necessarily the same persuasion as you?
Well, I guess one of the things we're going to have to do is say our other topics about the legislation for next week. But because I have to respond to Donnie. First of all, I take serious offense at saying ignorant if we believe that if there was Black people out there in the street, there would have been Black dead bodies in front of that Capitol right now. Wait, no, I'll let you finish. You're going to let me finish. They would have been dead. Not only our own president-elect said it. If you would have listened to a lot of people, even somebody on Fox News had the nerve to say that. What the Black Panthers did, you answered your own question, Donnie. They suffered afterwards. They suffered. They were killing Black Panthers left and right. They might not have done it on that day that they took over the Capitol, But you know what? That put the fear in them because that was the first time that ever happened. So instead of addressing black people, I mean, you're doing this, but instead of
Well, we gonna keep being scared? We gonna keep being scared?
You gonna let me finish, or is this the Donnie show?
Quiet,
Because
Donnie.
what happened
Teachers
is
lounge.
after that, that put the fear into those people, and they do.
I agree.
After those white folks got scared, they took down the Black Panthers. That counterintelligence program, they took down the Black Panthers.
Right.
So they did respond. And all you have to do is look at these Black Lives Matters marchers. They had a legitimate reason to be out there in the street. And the police were beating the hell out of them, throwing them all over the place. During these Black Lives Matter protests, just 2 of them. It's a peaceful protest. And I don't want to hear any crap about Antifa because it wasn't Antifa.
It was peaceful?
Okay, you're
peaceful.
not going to afford.
Black
You're not
Lives
going to
Matter.
afford us the
One
same
at a time.
respect.
One at a time. Donnie,
You're not
let
gonna
Will
afford-
finish.
I can see you're not going to afford us the same respect that we gave you.
Donnie, be quiet. Let Will
Okay.
finish now.
Because if you did some research, if you do some research and not just picking up stuff with social media says, 93% of those Black Lives Matter protests were peaceful. They got violent at night. Even Trump's Department of Justice said a lot of the Black Lives Matter protests, the violence came at night. And if you look at the Black people in the daytime that were marching peacefully, and then you look at those videos at night, the majority of those looters and burners and people that were out there, they were white people. They were the Black Lives Matter protesters. They didn't come there with gas masks already. Black Lives Matter protesters didn't come with these shields. These people were professional anarchists, and they infiltrated the movement. And one of the reasons why you say Black people don't need to storm the Capitol, because this got them nothing. They need to understand the law. They need to know how to fight through the system. They need to know how to boycott. These people, what they did yesterday, they did it for an illegitimate reason. They did it because their president and other people have been lying to them about a hijacked election, hijacked the election. They are there under false premises. The Black Lives Matter people, they were out there because Black lives don't matter. On the same day this protest got started, this riot got started, not protest, the police could not find those officers who shot, what was his name, in the back 3 times, in the back, who had gotten in his car that was no longer a threat. He was shot in the back 3 times. One person, not that I wanted people to get killed, but one person with all of that stuff that went on there, they got killed. Look how they chased that one officer up those steps. Now in front of the building, these officers, sure, they were pushing and fighting back, but some of them let them through. Some of them opened the gates to let them through. And their liberty, they're not this liberty. They are part of this cult following that is Donald Trump. And he convinced them through lies and lies and lies that the election was hijacked and they were there under false premises.
Even as such, though, Will, and I don't condone violence and what they did, because I don't necessarily stand on their side for liberty as much as they did. I was more so playing chess, not checkers. But they were fighting for their liberty, and we won't fight for our humanity. My father posted a post on Facebook, and me and him got into a big argument today. And he was talking about how if that happened to Black Lives Matter, there would have been bodies all over the ground, and Black people hadn't never raided the Capitol before. That's neither here nor there. My thing is this: I don't condone them. Don't stand with them like that. When I use my vote, I use it for a reason. But if they can fight for their liberty like that, and how do we fight for our humanity? And then you think about who the real problem is, and how we need to start rethinking things. We're the problem. I see people posting, we need to be careful of the Proud Boys for the next 2-3 weeks. I grew up in Detroit. You think I care about the Proud Boys? I want to smoke. And everybody that know me that know I ain't no joke out here. But I'm a teacher. And the goons that I hang out with is extra ready. So it's not about violence coming into your particular community. It's about the indoctrinated people that are scared, the fear mongering that the Democratic Party is going to put on you and say white supremacy. So our hurdle now is white supremacy. So who's your target? White supremacy. Who's the king of white supremacy? Donald Trump. Is that true? You need to do your own research. But when you look at it from a Black person's perspective, it's different than any nationality. When I'm saying Black, I mean ADOS. There is no app. There is no, it's a lot of gray areas. It's no black and white with us. There's a lot of gray areas. And where this is their fight, this isn't necessarily our fight, but we're going at each other. You have one demographic of Black people that feel like we should go this way because the Democratic Party hasn't done anything for us. And then you have another party that wants to go against Black people because they say Trump is the ultimate racist.
So Donnie,
I'm not scared of Trump.
Donnie, let Candace talk now.
Yeah, so when I think about all the things that you said, right? But there has not been a time where there was an insurrection from a president on the own government, So this is something that's a dire situation, but as well as we need to look at our government. So beyond just race, we're looking at the inequities within our own American government. So I think that this is a piece that really needs to be addressed when we talk about having conversations with our students. As William said in the beginning of the show, this will be a perfect opportunity to discuss government, to discuss the American Revolution, all of these moments and times in history and how it all ties together, rather than just looking at what we should do when it comes to violence and us kind of putting ourselves against each other.
Well, you know what this reminded me of when I saw this stuff yesterday? Back when they used to lynch Black people and they used to take pictures. Because none of these people, they're not afraid of the police, Donnie. I bet you all of these protests, they never had to have the talk with their young Black boys about what to do out here.
We shouldn't be afraid anymore. I'm tired of being afraid. But go ahead, Brother Weir. I'm just tired of being afraid. I'm tired of being afraid.
And then that means action. That means political action. This stuff right here, if we got out here and tried to do the same thing, it would be squelched. What you said about the Proud Boys, these people brought in weapons into the Capitol. You're not going to be able to get away with those same things. And I'm not saying that we need to be afraid of them. No, we do not. But they should not be getting a pass from the leaders of the government to do some of the things that they're doing. You know what? It trips me out when Black people, well, we need to get guns and we need to go out there too. I'm realistic about it. We need to protect ourselves, but realistic. We can't have no white race war. We will be wiped out. You tell me, once you get your Glock and you run out of your 5 cartridges, they got tanks, they got bazookas.
I'm gonna say something to contrast to that, and Dr. Umar co-signed it. There's a difference between ADOS and a Chinese man and an Arabic man or Indian man or Chaldean man or anybody that is a foreigner that came in here the right way. We cannot be deported. We cannot be deported. We are the only people that can stand aside white people after they took over the indigenous. We are the only people that have a claim to this land after they took over the indigenous. Now I see a lot of now when you think about it like me and you, Weird, me, you, Candace, and Leslie. This is not even our fight, even amongst, we could live the rest of our days out happy. But you have to understand that you can't be mad about these white people storming the Capitol for their liberty.
What liberty?
Whatever they thought they believed.
Okay, I'm gonna put him on mute. Donnie, you're on mute for a second. Donnie, wait, you're on mute. I just want to add something. Hold on, Donnie. We love you, sweet. I'm glad you're passionate. I'm glad we're passionate. Because look, this just happened. I want to make this clear. This just happened. This is all over the news. So I'm glad to see young brother Donnie so fired up. He's supposed to be. But allow me to say this. I'm gonna unshare my screen and come back to you. The research that I did and the program that I watched, we're talking about the police and the protesting and all of that. I saw the police not really doing their job. I saw the police almost posing with these so-called violent protesters.
They did.
All right. Yeah, posing for selfies. You know, we have to understand that a lot of the police are in these organizations. They're in the Proud Boys. Some of them are in Antifa. Yes, they are. And we also have to remember that this whole thing about Black people and white people and storming the Capitol, we know what would have happened if it were Black people. And look, I have a Black son. There's no way I would tell him, yes, we're going to go up to the Capitol and storm it to fight for our rights. No, what I tell him, you save your money, you don't spend a dime, and you plan. And part of the plan is not storming the Capitol. You know, you want to do something, save your capital. And then you can make moves. It's all about the money. And if you don't have it,
to your point there, Leslie, I remember teaching my fifth graders. They were asking me, and I think I told you all the story before, and I'll make it real quick. They were unhappy with the stores in their neighborhood, right? So I asked, what was the problem? And they listed they were being disrespected, the store was dirty, or whatever the case may be. And I had them go into the store like they were doing a project, I had them take pictures, I had them, talk to the people in there, I had them look for expiration dates. And I got a couple of parents on board who said they would take their kids. I said, would you take your kids out to the same kind of party store in a suburban neighborhood? And they did. And by the time my students got finished, it took about 3 weeks, there were dumpsters out in back of 3 of those stores that they listed. The city council told our kids a good job. One store came, closed down. One of the store owners came into, what are you teaching their kids? They come in there, they tell me they're doing this program. And now the next thing you know, I got health inspectors and people coming in because they did not, and they shoveled their snow, all of that stuff. That's the kind of thing that we need to get our kids to do. Those are the things. I'm done.
Yeah. Yes, but William, I wanted to piggyback on that as well, because this is what I keep hearing. Other millennials or Generation X, I don't know, we're on the borderline, we're on the cusp, but many of them are talking about, but we need to get back to we as the people, where we do hold power, but we have to learn how to take our power and exert it in the right ways. Right. Now, if we're going to go back to Malcolm X style and by any means necessary and all that, that's not going to get us to where we really want to be, which is empowered.
And allow me to say this. I'm from Philadelphia. Okay. And I was young when Move happened. Now,
Right.
right?
Yes.
I
Yep.
was in high school. We're talking 1985. And my city, our mayor, Wilson Good, allowed a bomb to be dropped on
Yep.
residential row homes,
Yes, he did.
destroyed the entire block. And why? Because Move was an affiliate of the Black Panthers.
Yep.
Many of the Black Panthers, they scattered because they were being murdered. Many of them ventured into Philly and they wanted to start up camp again. And they did. And you know what happened? City dropped the bomb. Okay? And people died. Some of them are just getting out. Move members are just getting out of jail. Bobby Africa. All right. So we just have to be careful because it seems like when we take a stand, there is an extra plan laid out. And I'm just going to say by the government to eradicate everybody involved. I would rather just say on the down low. I would rather just keep it quiet, keep it hushed. I think we were most impactful. And I say we as a people, when we knew that God was our secret weapon and we prayed and we prayed and we got up and we stood up and we had strength and we were able to overcome. All right. I think maybe we need to
We're
get back
still
to that.
working on that.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not just for praying. I'm for praying in action. I'm not for
Mhm.
praying and getting killed. I'm for praying and being strategic. As you said, Donnie, let's play chess. We were here first. We're smart. We just got to tap into it. All right, look, we have 3 minutes left. So let's do our closing statements. This was a riveting show. It went very fast. It went very fast. So we're going to start with you, Donnie. All right. And then we're going to go to Candace, Will, and then I'm going to close this out. Go ahead, Donnie. Closing thoughts.
Okay, so all I want to say is Trump is not going to be the president. I call myself playing chess. The reason why I did it was because the Democratic Party has left our neighborhoods, our school systems, everything's in shambles. They're not manicuring the lawns, they're not taking care of the freeways. There's a big difference when you're driving from Southfield in the Lodge or and going up and down, and you see the difference between, different little syndicates that's being ran. So you got to understand who you voting for, what's going on, how they care about Black people, how they feel like they want you to pull your own self up by your bootstrap. I don't necessarily agree with all that. I was never I'm a Trump supporter. I just wanted to let Black people know that we have to use our vote as a boycott to get policy passed for us.
Excellent, Donovan. Thank you. Candace, last thought?
I just feel like there is hope. Okay, I just want to just use that right there, that there is hope. I'm very hopeful of a lot of things that's going to manifest after we move through this season. I am hopeful for our new president-elect, Joe Biden, and Kamala Harris, for my boys' future. I'm just hopeful and optimistic in general, not turning a blind eye to the situation either, though.
Final thought?
The Democratic Party is what we make it. So if we don't do anything, we get what we put into it. I think we have to do a combination of both, like Candace was saying. Sometimes we have to take to the streets, like the Black Lives Matter movement did. But sometimes we also in combination have to take our action at the voting booth, which they did a very good job in Georgia. And then once those people get in office, we have to do a better job of holding them accountable instead of waiting for them to solve all of our problems. We have to solve them.
I loved this conversation that we had here tonight. Actually, we were just going to comment on what was going on in the country. We had a whole new agenda. Okay. But we didn't get to it. We just got to feeling passionate. And I'm happy because obviously, look, we're people too, and we just had to get it out. And we did. We put it out there. So listen, that's our time, people. We are very happy to be here. Thank you so much for giving us your time and your energy. We will be back next week. And we're going to have a wonderful time at the Teacher's Lounge. Thank you so much. See you next week. God bless. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Still my boy, Johnny. Love you, brother.